Tired of the old answers? You can know about life and how to improve it. Read Scientology, The Fundamentals of Thought by L. Ron Hubbard.
From what I can gather, you do see the spirit as being the most important factor in the overall life of man. But is this the same sort of spirit as a very religious person might see?
Pretty much so. Pretty much so.
Are Scientologists religious people?
Yes, matter of fact, the Hubbard Association of Scientologists International is a religious fellowship. It could be called, well, you could call it a religion of religions.
The uprising of Scientology in the 1950s was a result of its creator, L. Ron Hubbard, who brought the institution to life through his published works.
Let's get my relationship to this completely straight. So on. I am the writer of the textbooks of Scientology.
Of these works that were produced by Hubbard, Dianetics, the Modern Science of Mental Health is considered to be his earliest proposal of Scientology. The book suggests that humans are kept from achieving their true potential due to engrams, which are traumatic mental images stored in a person's memory. Dianetics further entices its readers by claiming it can teach people how to resolve engrams and grossly improve the mental and spiritual aspects of their lives, otherwise describing what seems to be a type of therapy.
Well, the one thing that Scientology can do, and the one thing it does do, is change conditions.
Hubbard had no schooling in science prior to and during the creation of Scientology, but despite the questionable credibility of Hubbard's books, the long-term effects of Dianetics are determined to have popularized Scientology. Scientology found its place in the lives of world-renowned celebrities.
You are in this enormously impressive big organization called Scientology.
And reached recognition in places besides the US, like Japan, Russia, and England, all of which are countries that adopted Scientology into their borders and further stimulated Scientology's presence in society, helping to ignite a growing following. Many subjects covered by Hubbard's original texts reviewed similar topics as most religions before, during, and after the time of Dianetics' creation.
We address the being, or the spirit, or the soul, whatever you wish to say person is, and we raise or help that person to raise their level of awareness spiritually. And the more aware the individual becomes of himself and of others and of the environment, the more able he is to handle the environment, himself, and others.
The ideas of both self-improvement and residual trauma are no stranger to religious culture, leading Scientology into the eventual transition from science to religion, fueled by a desire to receive the legal benefits a religious title would grant the church. Among these benefits, the church was especially interested in the promise of tax exemption.
But there was still one remaining problem with the IRS. They may not have found anything wrong with us, but they still refuse to recognize our churches as bona fide.
The battle against the IRS plagued Scientology for its first 25 years of existence. During this period of time, the IRS declared Scientology a commercial enterprise, which did not include the tax-exempt status religious institutions were granted.
You see, even when the IRS can't get you overtly, they can still smear you by stating you don't live up to their qualifications.
My name is Claire Headley. I was born into Scientology in England, and I ended up working at the top of Scientology at a secluded compound in Hemet, California, from the age of 16 until when I escaped in January 2005, by which time I was 30.
I'm here today to give you a glimpse.
Essentially, we were approached by a lawyer to do a lawsuit kind of on a few different angles. Number one was labor law violations, because we were working 12 to 24 hours a day. There were months at a time where I would get 0 to 2-3 hours of sleep a night. And we were paid $46 a week. So the lawyer also wanted to pursue the aspect of human trafficking, If you look at federal human trafficking laws, it covers, interestingly, many factors that are very comparable to the circumstances that we were under in Scientology. Is Scientology a religion? I don't think it is. It certainly wasn't when I was a kid growing up in Scientology, but my husband did start posting just our experiences online, and we were very aggressively
Meet Mark and Claire Headley.
Attacked. How does a religion maintain hundreds of hate sites on people? You know, how do you consider that a valid use of tax-exempt dollars, really?
On October the 1st, 1993, at 8:37 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the IRS issued letters recognizing Scientology and every one of its organizations as fully tax-exempt.
This was not only a shocking turn of events as it saved a widely debated organization who had collected over 2,500 lawsuits and tens of millions of dollars in taxes, but also served heavily as a public relations tool for the church itself.
They essentially bullied the IRS into granting them tax-exempt status.
We can have a very peaceful conversation about your beliefs.
This revelation was also due to a string of carefully organized events orchestrated by the church against the Revenue Service. An investigation done by the New York Times uncovered numerous accounts of Scientology hiring investigators to spy on IRS officials in an attempt to uncover potential vulnerabilities. In addition, an alleged meeting between IRS Commissioner Fred T. Goldberg and church leader David Miscavige was documented to have taken place, where they eventually made a compromise on the church's standings with the Revenue Service. As a result of the ruling, Scientology's newly found religious status secured its freedom to avoid prosecution and investigation under the First Amendment.
The Bill of Rights, with a couple of very narrow exceptions, the Bill of Rights, including the First Amendment, is a constraint on government. So the only group that can disobey the First Amendment is a government. It could be a school district, a school, federal government, a state government, a police officer, teacher. The First Amendment's really quite big and expansive. It's got, depending on how you look at it, 5 or 6 freedoms. There's freedom of religion and there's freedom from religion. So that basically means that government cannot constrain your faith. Neither can government encourage you to be of a certain faith. The IRS is basically the decision maker to determine whether or not something is tax exempt under federal law. And so certain organizations that make money have to pay taxes, income taxes, corporate taxes. But it boils down to, with religion, to a really essential question is, are you a religion? Because certainly churches make a lot of money. Some of them do, right? And so if they determine that you are a faith, then you can be very free with how you raise and spend money. If they say it's a church, tax exempt. If they say it's not, you're not.
This ongoing conflict between the Church of Scientology and the American legal system has yielded minimal results within America's internal affairs. As the struggle of the Church against the law continues to persist, there will always be debate within religious politics concerning them. Only if the First Amendment does not have such a gravity on legislature, or Scientology's religious title is removed, will any progress be made with the Church.
Saying out there that the power to tax is the power to destroy.
Scientology has continued to encourage a changing view of what defines a religion, not only to American citizens but also other nations, regarding how the Church should be treated and what their status should be within each nation. How religious organizations will be handled on a governmental scale throughout the world has and will continue to be a direct reflection of the conflict seen between the Church of Scientology and the American government.
We're not bother you, we just want to talk!